Kailyn Lowry, star of Teen Mom 2. It is so lovely to see your face. My hat is off to you for doing so very much during this very unprecedented time. I am curious, what is life like at home with you and 4 little ones in quarantine?
Yeah, it's a circus. I mean, and they're all ages. So I have 10, 6, 3, and a newborn. And so it's kind of chaos, but honestly, I perform very well under pressure. So it's been okay. My oldest is 10. I didn't know how he would be with a newborn crying in the middle of the night and all of that. And then my 6-year-old, I was like, they are 6 years apart. They're just completely in 2 different stages of life, but he loves being a big brother. And so it really has been great.
So of course it begs the question, do you think your family at this point is complete, or sky's the limit? Let's keep going. Let's keep having more kids.
It depends on the day that you ask me. Some days I'm like, give me 5 more babies. And some days I'm like, I think we're good with 4. So it just depends.
And I know this is such a personal question, but is there a part of you that would love to have a little girl?
Yeah, I think there is a little piece. I mean, if I never have a daughter, that's also okay. But I think there's definitely a piece of me that wouldn't mind having one for sure.
I am 14 weeks and I'm due in July. I just need to put my big girl pants on. I'm so annoyed. I'm sick of their shit.
So of course we got to get into Teen Mom 2, season 10. I'm curious, what was the most challenging thing that you had to film this season?
If I'm being totally transparent here, I think that there was a time where I found out I was pregnant again, and it wasn't the ideal situation. And so I was like, is this the best decision for me, or should I consider abortion? And furthermore, I was upset that I even put myself in a position where I was when I was 16 and pregnant, because I feel like those were some of the same things that I was thinking about when I was 16. And so fast forward 10 years later, I'm making the same mistake. So I think that was really, really difficult for me as a whole.
My hat is off to you for always being so honest and truthful with yourself. You just called yourself out for like, I'm in the same position that I was when I was 16, and here you are at 28. How do you think you got yourself into that same position?
I mean, I am human. And I think that even though I'm in therapy and doing a lot of the things that I needed to be doing and still need to continue, I do think that I'm human and I still make mistakes. There are times where I'm going to take 2 steps back, but it's just having the self-awareness that, okay, I did make the same mistake, so now I need to get back on track.
So then if there is a next time, you think it'll be with someone who you are madly in love with, very committed to, and you just want to expand your family together?
100%. If there is another one, I want it to be 100% like, I want to do this. This is something, I don't want to have to question my decision. I don't want to have to feel the same things that I felt, with this pregnancy, or even my pregnancy when I was 16.
What made you ultimately decide, I don't want to go through with terminating the pregnancy? Talk to me a little bit about your decision-making process.
I did go to an abortion appointment, and I said to the tech, I said, I know that you normally wouldn't show me the ultrasound because someone would be here to terminate. I said, but I just don't know that I'm set in my decision, and I need to see this baby on the screen because I needed to feel real. I need to look at this and really understand the magnitude of what I'm about to go through with. And I just want to make sure that I'm doing what's best for me. And once I saw this little baby on the screen, I said, I can't do this. And I know that I'm capable of being a mom of 4, and I know I'm capable of being a good mom of 4. So I'm going to walk out of here and I'm going to feel good in my decision. And this is my decision. And that's what I did.
Was Chris part of the conversation?
He wasn't part of the conversation, but I had let him and family members know that this was something that I was considering. I wasn't giving them a say, but I was letting them know that this is something that I'm thinking about doing.
And then what was their reaction?
I think there was a little bit of like uncertainty, but I wasn't going to let that ultimately decide what I wanted and what was best for myself and for my other children. I'm proud of myself because I have absolutely no regrets. I love my son. I'm just thankful that I listened to myself and I made the decision that I made. So that's where I'm at.
I want to do a little kind of men in your life roundup, just to see where everything is currently at. We know your relationship with Chris has been very bumpy from the get-go. How are things with Chris today?
We don't communicate at all. I don't hear from him. I wish him the best. Technically, he could, if he reached out, he could have supervised visits, but he hasn't reached out since Creed was born.
How much time have they spent together?
A couple hours, collectively.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me sad for Creed because he won't have the relationship and Lux, they won't have the relationship with their dad that Isaac and Lincoln have with their dads. But at the same time, I wouldn't want them to have a relationship with their dad in the point of life that Chris is at right now. When Chris is healthy and happy and successful and ready to actually open those doors to have a real relationship with his kids, then by all means. But until that happens, I can't have the in and out and the instability, and I just can't have that.
I know obviously Creed is too little at this point, but Lux is 3. Does he ask for dad ever?
He does. He asks for his dad.
What do you say?
I say something similar to what I used to tell Isaac about my mom, and it's just that right now he's sick, and when he gets the help that he needs, he will get better and you will be able to see him, but until then he needs to recover. Let's
talk a little about Javi. How are things with Javi today?
Things with Javi are great today. We're getting along. He's coaching Lincoln's football, and so things are good right now. I have no complaints.
And what about Joe and Vee?
Things are great. Vee and I just announced our podcast, which is a project that we've been kind of working on.
It's a pretty unorthodox situation to be in, where you are so close with your ex's now wife. And I have to tell you, It is a beautiful, as a woman, it is a beautiful moment to see the two of you so respectful of one another. What did it take for you to get to this place with Vee?
If you would have asked me 10 years ago, do you think you and Vee will ever be friends? My answer would have been hell no. Like, heck no, I'm never going to be friends with her. But I think Vee opened my eyes to co-parenting. She really talked to me about what that looked like to her growing up. And I was like, oh, wow, like this happens. Like, there are people that get along, they put their differences aside and they become friends, or at least civil. And so she really opened my eyes to that.
And I just have to tell you, I don't know if you ever read the YouTube comments, but there is so much positivity for Joe. The fans love Joe. They think he's really risen to the occasion as not only a great father, but people really love how supportive he's been to you, how you've come to him sometimes in your lower moments, and he's been like a confidant sort. How do you feel about your relationship with Joe today?
I'm a good mom, but my relationships aren't always great. And so the combination of the two, sometimes my decisions are questionable. He really has supported me, especially when I came to him about being pregnant with Creed and even Lux. I didn't anticipate to get the reaction that I did from him, which was full support. And so I really am thankful for that.
These past 6 months have been the hardest probably of my adult life.
What has therapy done for you? Why is it so important to you?
Therapy, it's not just talking to someone and getting things off your chest. I mean, it's really facing the music and looking at where you're going wrong. Next month will be a year of therapy for me, and I can't stress enough how much progress I've made in such a short time, and I seriously recommend that therapy to everyone.
Is there one moment in your life or one issue that you feel like, wow, we really worked through that in therapy, and I don't know if the outcome would have been as successful as it is today if I hadn't addressed it so heavily in therapy?
Yeah, I mean, there was something really traumatic that happened to me last October, and I haven't really talked about what exactly it was, but that's really kind of like the moment when I knew I needed to get help. And so if I hadn't gone into therapy and worked through that with a therapist, I don't know where I would be today.
I don't want to pry or ask anything inappropriate, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't follow up and ask you.
Sure.
Can you share what happened to you last October?
I don't think I'm there yet. I think it's coming. I'm almost to a place where I want to share my story, but it's, domestic violence is a real thing, and it happens more often than you think. And so that's all I'm going to say about it.
Initial all of them?
Yeah. All right, we got a special delivery.
Awesome.
Here's your keys.
Thank
All
you,
good to go.
Marcus.
Oh, congrats, new homeowner.
What does it mean to you to know that, you started out as a 16-year-old girl on this reality docuseries, and here you are today at 28, a successful businesswoman? What is all that growth and success? What does that mean to you?
I hope that other people can look at my story and be like, okay, Kail came from nothing. She had no dad. Her mom was an addict and an alcoholic. And, when I first was on the show, I was on food stamps and scared to talk about it, So I really hope that people can look at that and say they can do anything they put their mind to.
A lot of chatter around this. You recently joined OnlyFans. How has that experience been so far?
You know what? It kind of that was the one thing I can't stay consistent in. Like, I just don't. It was a joke. I sent a couple feet pics and then I haven't been on since.
Okay, so can you just set the record straight? There will be no Kail nudity, nothing untraditional, I guess you could say, posted on there?
Yeah, it's anything. The pictures that I posted on there are already on my Instagram, so there's really nothing to see there.
Can I ask what your prices are?
500.
So if you got a notification today that someone would like another foot pic, would you take one this afternoon?
Oh, absolutely. I sure would.
You have been on television and in the teen mom and 16 and pregnant universe for over a decade now. I'm curious, how will you know when it's the right time to walk away?
When it becomes more of a stress in my life, like filming is stressful, but not stressful enough to walk. I don't know that I can answer that question until I'm to that point.
Do you feel like that day could be sometime soon, or do you see this kind of being like the long haul? Like you want to continue showcasing your brand and your evolution as a human being?
As of right now, I would continue as long as they're asking me to, and as long as people are watching and it's still what it is. But tomorrow that could change. So we don't really know.
Has there ever been a moment where you felt like, I regret signing up for reality TV?
Sometimes when the heat is on us and we didn't make a great decision on TV, I think it's always like, why did I do this? But the bigger picture is that we have a good time with it. We've met really cool people. We've inspired people. We've lowered the teen pregnancy rates. And so when you look at the bigger picture, you're like, okay, I did this for all the right reasons.
I think it's so interesting that you're on a show called Teen Mom 2, but if we break it down, you're a 28-year-old, very successful, stable woman, mother of 4. Do you think that there's any stigma with still being labeled a teen mom when you're all of those things that I just mentioned?
Yeah, I think people forget a lot of the times when they find out, oh, she's having another baby, or even Chelsea, who's married, they're like, 4 kids, like, what are you doing? You're on a show called Teen Mom. They expect us to not grow up and be able to have other relationships and other children. They think of us in their minds as still 16 and pregnant. And then they also are like, well, you wouldn't have all that you have if it wasn't for Teen Mom. And it's like, okay, but what is the alternative? The alternative to not launching yourself in different directions is to what? Sit around and collect, your check from MTV and wait for the money to run out? Like, no, you want to launch yourself into different directions and kind of, make yourself successful in other ways.
So do you think the label of teen mom has been detrimental to you in any way?
A little bit. I think there definitely have been companies that are like, oh, Kail did this on Teen Mom or whatever, just because there's a stigma to it. You think Teen Mom and maybe they're not educated or they're not successful or they can't be successful. And so I try to just prove them wrong as much as I can.
No, my girl's got a degree. We applaud that. You look amazing.
Thank you.
Been very transparent about this health journey that you've gone on. Can you tell me, what is it that you're trying to achieve and where are you at with your journey?
I'm 28 and my body is not the same as it once was. I would really love to go into, give myself these 2 years and go enter my 30s, the healthiest and, the fittest I've ever been. And so that's kind of the goal for me, is to drop all the unnecessary weight, be fit and feel good about myself because I do have 4 kids that I have to keep up with.
Is there a number like that you're fixated on, that I got to drop this amount of weight or I want to get to this certain weight?
Yeah, I think 50 pounds would be a good goal for me.
Being an entrepreneur, being a mother, is there any time for love?
Not right now. I think that I'm still healing from a lot of the things like I was mentioning before. I really just kind of want to focus on myself and try to be the best version of me before I bring someone else into the show.
So many years of Teen Mom 2, 16 and pregnant, you have had some really memorable quotes, and I would just love to get your reaction.
Hold my foot, Joe.
I don't think people understand. He let go of my foot. I needed that pressure. I needed to be able to push off of his hand to give birth, okay?
I hope he held Vee's foot when she was giving birth.
I hope so too. He better not have let go.
Did you know that was going to be such a funny moment?
No, I didn't. And there's definitely accounts dedicated to that quote. And so I just wish that they understood, like, I really needed him to do that for me, and he let me down.
Wise words to women all over the planet giving birth. Make sure a partner is there to hold your foot.